Start, huh? Yep. I'm going to start. I now reconvene to the regular meeting of the Board of Education at 6 p.m. with Blair, Cruz, Gagne, Schaefer, and not present. Before we begin, please silence all electronic devices. These proceedings are recorded and may capture images and sounds of those present. Pat?
The board met in closed session from 5:06 p.m. to 5:51 regarding conference with legal counsel, existing and anticipated litigation, public employee discipline dismissal release, student admissions, conference with labor negotiators, ACT, and public employee discipline dismissal release. No action was taken which requires public disclosure.
Leading the Pledge of Allegiance tonight is Cynthia Moran from Chino Hills.
Thank you. Everyone please stand. Place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're now at comments from our student, but she's not in yet. Okay. So then we go to employee representatives. Brenda Walker from ACT.
Okay, I'm going to be super quick. Good evening, President Na, school board members, Superintendent Enfield, district cabinet, and community. So just want to share one thing tonight. Well, two things. First, I'd like to thank Ms. Hernandez, Mrs. Gagne, Mr. Schaefer for reaching out to me and meeting with me. And I hope to meet with Mr. Na and Mr. Cruz soon as well. I appreciate the time that you've taken to connect. And also thank you for meeting with our executive board members. We have board buddies, we call them, and so each one of you are going to be meeting with our executive board members throughout the year, and we really appreciate that. I'd also like to say that we have good news as far as negotiations are concerned. And it happened really quick, right? Last time I said we're going to get some dates, we're going to get some dates. Our negotiation team met with the district's negotiation team, and we were able to settle on a tentative agreement. We appreciate the hard work of both teams, and we look forward to bringing the details to our members for a ratification vote. I want to thank all the members of the board. I'd like to thank Superintendent Enfield and district cabinet and the negotiation team for the district. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Good job. Okay, Dania Hernandez from CSA. Okay, thank you. And Tom McKessie from CHAMP.
Good evening, President Na, Dr. Enfield, Cabinet, Board, and community. I just want to echo what Brenda Walker said and just say it's been really good. The negotiations went really well, really smooth. And I think it's a lot of it is dependent on the leadership of both ACT and the district, and especially the lead negotiators, Kelly and Rich. And I think we have a lot to be thankful for the way that the trust and the relationship has gone up in the last few years. It's among the highest that I've seen in the 23 years that I've been in the district. So I want to thank everybody with ACT and also with the district for making that trust go even higher than it's been ever. So thank you.
Good, thank you. Now, as Audrey walked in, let's have your report. Okay.
Good evening, community members, President Na, board members, and Superintendent Enfield. So let's begin with Chino High School's recent report by their ASB President, Riley. So Chino High School had their first rally, which was a class competition rally held in their stadium. They had student rappers perform, which was a success, as the students were able to participate and be engaged. Their first football game is this Friday, and their homecoming dance will be on the 21st, followed by their homecoming game on the 27th, which they are very excited for. And then Don Lugo High School is focusing on sports and how they can increase school spirit. Their leadership class chose the homecoming theme, which will be the Roaring Twenties, and they're in the process of planning Milk Can, their rival football game, specifically how they can increase involvement in their student section. And for their last away game, they had a router bus so students could easily attend the away game, and that increased the turnout by a lot. Their leadership department is currently having a fundraiser this Saturday at Applebee's from 8 to 10 a.m., and they're preparing for the Leadership Development Day. Next, we have Chino Hills High School, ASB President Sean Lamazny. Chino Hills High School had their fall sports rally recently, which was Greek-themed. They also finished their club rush and currently have about 60 to 70 clubs on campus. Some future events they are planning is homecoming, and they are in the process of selecting a theme for that. Their ASB is having an open mic night on September 13th, and tryouts were today and tomorrow. And then now for my high school, Ayala High School. Today was the final day of Club Rush Week, where we had all the clubs showcased in the center quad. This year we have over 70 clubs and expect many more to be formed as the school year continues. We had performances on the library stage from Polynesian Club, ASL Club, Chinese Club, and Ukulele Club. The club culture at our school is extremely important, and we encourage each student to join at least one club on campus. This allows every student to find their passion and place on campus, and we want every student to feel like they belong in order to create a better school culture. Additionally, our first official home game is this Friday against Diamond Ranch High School, which we are very excited for. We are also hosting a Leadership Development Day on Tuesday, where the Executive Board and selected USB leadership students will be facilitating groups for that. Also on Tuesday is our Back to School night, and our USB class is currently planning our next rally, which is Nickelodeon themed, as well as Homecoming, which is Wizard of Oz themed. The first SAC meeting is on the 17th, and I'm currently in the works and planning that with Melissa Brown and my advisor. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, great report. And here's a proud dad in the back. But I'd like to acknowledge at this time we have Alexi visiting our meeting, and she was our former representative, and she'll be leaving to college on the 17th, and so we're just proud of her. So thank you for coming. We're now at comments from audience on items not on the agenda. Pat, are there any speakers? No. Okay. This one. Okay. Speakers will be called in order the request was received. Please listen for your name and be prepared to approach the podium. Any comments on agenda items will be accepted during consideration of that item. Once the board has commenced deliberations on an issue, speaker cards will not be accepted. The board is very interested in your comments, but please bear in mind the board typically does not respond to comments during this time on the agenda, as it is reserved for public comments. Individual members may respond during board comments at the end. Mr. Cruz.
Speakers, you have 3 minutes. Begin with the green light. The yellow light means 30 seconds left. Red light means stop. Please adjust the microphone as necessary. Thank you.
Speakers, please remember that in accordance with Board Bylaw 9323, Bylaws of the Board Meeting Conduct, limit remarks to 3 minutes total for all remarks, and please limit remarks to new points. The board would like to remind you that Board Policy 1312.1 contains the procedure for anyone who wishes to file a complaint against a district employee. Please follow that procedure. The first speaker is Madeline Salem, followed by Arnold Waver, I can't pronounce the last name, and Alyssa Tejada.
Good evening, President Na, Board of Education, and Superintendent Enfield. My name is Madeline Salem, and I am currently a senior at Ayala High School. I am also the founder of a student-run 501c3 nonprofit organization called the Purple Hydrangea Project. We consist of a team of students based mainly in Southern California, many of them CVUSD high school students. Our organization's mission is to advocate for mental health awareness in children and teens. And in our fight to eliminate the stigma around mental health, we hope to move the the community towards an environment of understanding and acceptance in which youth can feel safe in reaching out for help and speaking about their mental health struggles without the fear of being ignored, judged, or shunned. One of the ways we hope to accomplish this mission is to present assemblies at elementary, middle, and high schools. These assemblies would have content tailored to whatever is appropriate for their age group, whether they be elementary, middle, or high school, but will ultimately have the same purpose of talking about different struggles kids or teens may go through, sharing how to cope with those struggles in a healthy way, providing them with possible resources that they can turn to, and communicating to them that they are not alone and that they can always reach out for help. All of the content of these assemblies would be professionally approved by psychiatrists and psychologists at Kaiser Diamond Bar. We are also currently in the process of coordinating these Kaiser professionals to present the more informational segment of our assemblies. The other segment of our assemblies would be one or two of our team members sharing their own stories of struggling with and recovering from mental health issues. This segment would only be presented at the middle and high school level. The National Alliance on Mental Illness has proven this method to be very effective through the reactions to their high school presentation called Ending the Silence, in which they invite someone who has personally struggled with mental illness to speak about their experience. In a world where child and teen suicide rates, depression diagnosis, and mental pressure are on the rise, I believe that these assemblies, especially mixing the professional with the personal peer-to-peer aspect, could have a profound impact in terms of educating students about mental health, allowing them to feel understood in their struggles and pointing them towards recovery. And just as a disclaimer, we are not in any way trying to facilitate peer-on-peer counseling. Rather, we are trying to present the knowledge that these kids need through a professional and credible source. We are also giving a platform to teens who have suffered so they can speak about their struggles and hopefully give hope to someone in the audience who has felt the same way. Some of our team members will speak to you now regarding more details about these assemblies, which were the following speakers mentioned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A. Walvaker, followed by Alyssa Tejada, followed by Pauline Slakunka.
Good evening, President Na and CVUSD Board of Education. My name is Anmol Walvicker, and I'm currently a senior at Ayala High School and Fund Development Director for the Purple Hydrangea Project. Today I'm going to present to you a basic outline for how assemblies at our elementary schools are planned to go should they be approved by the board. Because they are still children and are very young and impressionable, we do not want to be giving them ideas explicitly talking about depression, eating disorders, or other serious related matters. However, we want to emphasize the importance of a strong, understanding community, learning how to ask for help at a young age, and learning healthy coping mechanisms. The aforementioned professional would start off with detailing scenarios that a kid might run into, such as being bullied, feeling a lot of pressure and stress to do well in school, and feeling ashamed of yourself, and then asking the audience how they would deal with it. The kids would then be rewarded with toys and stickers for answering. Then the professional would go into the healthy ways to deal with the scenario, and they would also encourage talking about feelings to friends, family, and trusted adults, preparing them with the skills to be mentally healthy in the future. They would also talk about fun ways to practice self-care and give out self-care packages as prizes. We as a team would make it engaging and interactive with games and activities, seeing as we are speaking to elementary school children. And now here's Alyssa to talk to you about the middle school and high school assemblies.
Alyssa Tejada, followed by Pauline Slakunko, followed by Mike Cargile.
Good evening, CVUSD Board of Education, President Na, and Superintendent Enfield. My name is Alyssa Tejeda, and I'm a senior at Chino Hills High School and Marketing Director for the Purple Hydrangea Project. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about our middle and high school assemblies. They will be laid out similarly to the elementary school presentations. We will not only present healthy coping mechanisms, but also provide resources and talk about the signs and symptoms of certain mental health problems and explain to them how they can help their loved ones or themselves if they recognize these symptoms. We plan to talk about the mental health stigma and why it is so important. One of the main activities we want to unite the audience and help everyone feel connected is something with our cell phone flashlights. We will begin with asking the audience something small, like have you ever felt discouraged because of a bad grade, and then address issues of more severity as we go along and have each person in the audience shine their flashlights if they can relate to the statement. By doing this, individuals can look around and see just how many people relate to exactly how they feel. Another thing we plan to do is bring up student speakers to talk about their experience and how they recovered. We don't want to bring up anything too graphic. We mostly just want to use the recovery aspect of their journey to show that it is indeed possible. We want to share what helped. We want them to share what helped them and how they got better, so students can hear firsthand from their peers just how they can recover from whatever they may be dealing with. Thank you for your time, and now here's Pauline to talk about the logistics.
Good evening, President Na and Board of Education. I am Pauline Siukunko, a senior at Ayala High School and part of the Fund Development Committee of the Purple Hydrangea Project. I will be speaking on the logistics of these assemblies. We plan to have these assemblies during school hours for about 50 minutes to an hour long. While we may be taking this time away from their classes, we are still educating students. We are giving them invaluable knowledge, allowing them the possibility to create and maintain mentally healthy lives, and teaching them these skills at a very young age. We want to start with 3 schools, 1 elementary school, 1 middle school, and 1 high school. Should we get district approval, we plan to reach out to the principals of these schools and schedule these meetings. We would cover all costs with our own money and cater these assemblies to the professional schedules. We hope that you will consider our proposition to present these assemblies through the Purple Hydrangea Project, which, if approved, will be the first of many projects that we plan to undertake to raise mental health awareness in kids and teens. If you would like to support our cause, we are currently conducting a crowdfunding campaign. We are trying to raise $7,000 in 30 days to fund our projects. If you want to learn more, you can check out our website at thepurplehydrangeaproject.org. Thank you so much for your time and consideration, and thank you for letting us have this platform to speak about our mission.
Thank you.
Mike Cargile, followed by Carmen Broad, followed by Barbara Hale.
Good evening, President Na, board members, and Superintendent Enfield. Since each of you has my letter I sent this morning regarding the Ayala ASL program, I won't go into the details of such. That letter was mailed exclusively to you board members, our superintendent, and their respective secretaries. It was not sent to any media or social media, because as you all know, anything that winds up on the internet tends to stay on your permanent record. I was supposed to be joined here by many other students and parents, but someone started a rumor that if we spoke to the board and the individual at the heart of this quit, the entire program would potentially be scrapped. I can't tell you how upset I was at hearing this. No student and no parent should ever be intimidated into silence using a student's academic career. I don't know who actually started this. Frankly, I don't care. We are where we are. Let's pick the ball up here and let's run with it. We're all on the same team. According to the board policies, as I read them, that ball seems to land squarely in the lap of Superintendent Enfield, whose record and reputation provide me with the full faith and confidence that we can all expect a rational, reasoned solution to the current dilemma. I ask now, because of the gravity of this situation and the prestige of the program at risk, that this issue be given its proper time and attention, and that the community of those directly affected by this be given an opportunity to partake in the successful outcome sure to come. To do so, I request that under 9320B of the board's bylaws, a special board meeting be called by either the presiding officer or a majority of the board members so that any legal exposure is minimized and we can all cross the finish line together and no more instructional time is lost. The reputation and the foundation of the Ayala ASL program runs deep, but it was always championed by a single individual, Ms. Kirby. Imagine what we could achieve if instead of just trying to retain and maintain this program, we actually sought to build upon it. And then we extend that same successful mindset to all the other programs on campus. What a legacy for all of us. I say this in light of the fact that I know how hard it is to get teenagers excited about anything academically. But when I see how much this program means to these kids and those parents, I know we have the building blocks to construct something truly lasting and remarkable here. And that drive and that passion are nothing if not contagious to those around them. Thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you.
Harmon Broad, followed by Barbara Hale, followed by Seth Gerdine.
Good evening, President Na and board members. I'm one of those very proud parents that had the opportunity of having two daughters go through the program of ASL. My youngest just graduated this past May. My oldest graduated 3 years ago, and because of Mrs. Kirby and the way she taught, she was able to be passionate about the program, and turned my daughters also very passionate. Sorry. My oldest decided she wanted to pursue the translation for ASL and become an interpreter, and now she's on her 4th year for ASL, and she wants to be, like I said, an interpreter. She loves it. I've seen how they grew with communication, being able to talk to people out in the community, out when we were at Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm. They would see people who were speaking or in ASL, and they had the courage to go up to them and talk to them. And you would see them smile. They were so happy to be able to talk to somebody. And we see that, with everybody that comes in contact with the deaf. We have a student right now that is a deaf student in Ayala High School, and we know she is the first cheerleader to be deaf, and she is loving it, and she is enjoying it. And the reason why is because she has other students who are able to communicate with her because of ASL. This program is an amazing program that should not be cut, should not be changed. It should continue the way Ms. Curry put it together, because it's such a great program. The benefits of it, it's amazing. They're able to try out for an honor society and also be able to get a bilingual seal once they complete their 4 years, to be able to get a higher pay for any job. They're also able to test at Mount SAC and get credits for the university of their choice. They're able to earn 16 units, which is like a scholarship in itself. You're taking a whole semester or a quarter off. The program has helped, like I said, many people, and it's able to bridge communities together. We need to continue this program. We need to be able to have a teacher who will teach the same as Ms. Kirby, and be able to not only teach what a word is, but to use a structure, sentence structure, just the same way as we do in English or any other language. And that's what is shorthanded right now because of the teacher we have, or what they have. But it would be in everybody's benefit to continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara Hale, followed by Seth Gerdine, followed by Susan Hand.
Hi, good evening, members of the board. My name is Barbara Hale. I'm the executive director for Sycamore Academy. As you know, we have use of your facility on Pipeline under Prop 39 agreement. We have been working with the district administration on the needed repairs to that facility in order to make it safe for our staff and for our families. And those discussions continue today through registered letters. These issues can be easily resolved, so I'm hoping that the board can assist staff in finding a more direct route to the resolution, because it seems to me there has to be some kind of policy or administrative regulations that are hindering action and, quite frankly, creating a lot more paperwork and expense for both organizations. Our two biggest issues at this point is Sycamore Academy still does not have internet access. We would like to purchase our internet access directly from Spectrum. We've received a very large donation, nearly $200,000 worth of technology, and we'd like the district to allow us to be an independent charter school as we were authorized by the county. I'm happy to share details about that, but given the time, I can't do that now. But my cell phone number is on our website. You are welcome to call me at any point. The next issue is keys. We were supposed to get possession of the site on July 31st, and we didn't get possession until midday on the 1st. And we have yet to receive keys for several doors. We have exactly 2 keys that open the student restrooms and all of the gates to access the site. So in order for us to secure the site, we actually end up locking staff out. They have to call from the gate. Someone has to go to the gate and let them in because we park in the back, and the only access point for us to be secure is at the front. We only have the same 2 keys for the padlocks. Every door has a different key, including doors to the same classroom. So there might be 3 doors to a classroom. That classroom has 3 different keys. Let's see, I'd like a resolution to happen before we have an emergency at that site, because that could be really bad for our students and our staff. I totally and completely understand the political climate towards charter schools. I live it. But I'd like to propose that we not participate in that rhetoric and that we focus on our students, their families, and our community. And I'll parrot the gentleman that just spoke. Let's just pick up the ball from where it is and move forward. I do have confidence. This is my hometown. I went through your district. I know we can do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Seth Gerdine, followed by Susan Hand, followed by Cynthia Moran.
This evening I stand not as a representation of self, but rather a rumination of our incredible sins. While we share a common concern for the moral nucleus of our nation, we have fallen far short of dispersing these ideals in which this nation was founded upon. We have seen 18th century constructs dictate our policies today. We share a heritage in which these constructs were dismantled in order to provide equality for those whom were born without. However, the lessons our evils had wrought were not kept in memory, as those lessons became a distant dream. And that dream soon became amnesia, only to be filled with dissonance and confirmation bias. Some of you wish to legislate repression, and your divisive words bring forth that repression in extensive clarity. We as a community of just individuals understand what it means when we use the language and the narrative of partition. When we isolate one group of people and create an image of fear to the rest of the masses. In 1877, we witnessed the narrative in which a minority group was dubbed as less than or unnatural, and moreover, this group was seen as an evil to our society. In 1877, there was an outcry of fear by the masses, only propagated by the few, as politicians exacerbated their programs by stating this particular minority group would inevitably prey on the weakest and most vulnerable among us. In 1877, the southern heart of our nation enacted laws that adequately suppressed this group, and we would later know these laws as Jim Crow. It did not start that way. No. It first started with a narrative and small waves of suppression known only as the Black Codes, where black men and women were not allowed to freely express themselves, nor was it allowable in schools to learn about the black community, which reflected in a positive manner. Today, I heard that same narrative cast its head once more, as it often does throughout our history. But this time, it was not focused on the black community. Even though we are familiar with its face and have combated this evil for generations, its glare was not focused on us. Its focus was primarily on the LGBTQ community. And as its MO has familiarity, we recognize that it savors the opportunity to attack the community's most vulnerable. Evil comes forth in the guise of good, and evil came in the guise of protecting our children. When in fact our children are the ones with open minds and willingness to understand and appreciate one another. It is us, as adults, that need to adhere to these lessons our children wish to teach us. Our prejudice have made us stale and rigid. Our prejudice has convinced us that opening our hearts to those who are different are immoral. And our crowning achievement of hypocrisy is sought to silence the vulnerable whom we are already struggling to fit in societal constructs in which we already built in order to suppress them. I speak before you as a rumination of our own sins. A young doctor once said, cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expedience asks the question, is it politics? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But the conscience asks the question, is it right?
Thank you.
Susan Hand, followed by Cynthia Moran, followed by Stephanie Wade.
We're both third grade teachers at Briggs, and we're wearing the life vests to remind you that as teachers, we are drowning. We're drowning in the extra homework this district expects us to do. work that apparently we have been expected to complete on our own time with no compensation. My contract day begins at 8:05 and ends at 3:05. My students arrive at 8:15 and go home at 2:55. I have a 45-minute PLC each week and 150 minutes of what should be uninterrupted prep time to prepare for the next work week. As you can see, there is no time built into my daily schedule to grade papers or finish planning. I, like most teachers, spend several hours each week beyond my contract hours to complete these tasks. We accepted this as the norm when we signed on to be teachers. But now, in addition to our regular workload, we're being given assignments from the district and our administrators. The first assignment was the yearly anti-harassment training videos, which were due September 3rd. Teachers who have completed this assignment on their own time report that it took around 3.5 hours to view and answer all the questions. That's half of our workday. The next assignment we've been given is to go through sheets of data that we've been provided with and to write a SMART goal for language arts and for math. At my site, this assignment is due on October 2nd. We're supposed to work on this during our PLC time. We got this assignment on August 28th. Our very next PLC on September 4th was grades K through 6th all together. So that leaves us with only 2 PLC days to work on this before the due date. At the same time, we have to do the SABRs for each of our students, which is due September 13th. This takes about 2 minutes per student, and I have a small class of 28. You have the power to save us from drowning by giving us time within our contract hours or compensate us for using our own time to get these additional assignments completed. Or you can watch us drown. I will not be donating my own time to complete these extra homework assignments, and I implore my colleagues to do the same. No donation. We want compensation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cynthia Moran, followed by Stephanie Wade, followed by Kathy Osman.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm pinch hitting for Councilmember Bennett this evening to give you an update of what's going on in Chino Hills. I know that there's going to be a presentation at the Citizen Oversight Board for the bond on September 11th, but we would love to have someone from the district come to a future council meeting to give us an update on it. I think that would, the residents would like to be informed about that, so that'd be great. School year has started off great from the city's end. We again have worked out a partnership with Ayala to offer a drop-off site. The parents are very appreciative, and we're happy to work with you guys. We have our free mobile rec drop-in program that there's still a lot of parents that aren't aware of it. It's for ages 5 through 12. And the current schedule for this semester is on Mondays from 3 to 5:30 p.m. is at Pinehurst Park. Tuesdays from 3 to 5:30 p.m., Betterfield Park. Wednesdays, 11:45 a.m. to 4 p.m., Community Park. Thursdays, 11:45 a.m. to 4 p.m., Glenmead Elementary. Friday, 3 to 5:30 p.m. at Altera Park. It means just what it says, mobile rec. You drop in. You don't need to make any reservations. It's free. You don't have to be a resident of Chino Hills. So if this works within your schedule, we'd love to have your children come and partake in arts and crafts, outdoor games, healthy snacks, homework assistance, and supplies. So it's a great program, but I still feel it's really underutilized. So we would encourage you guys to help us get the word out. On September 26th, we're having an emergency preparedness workshop. Again, it's open to anyone in the Chino Valley, 7 to 9 p.m. at the Chino Hills Community Center. And let's see, last but not least, we have our State of the City coming up, and it's very different this year. It is on a Saturday, and it's a community fair, and the theme is called Celebrate Chino Hills. It'll be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the community center. The first 500 people will get a free hot dog or hamburger. We'll have our partner agencies, fire, police, we'll have city departments. So it's just different. It's our way of trying to reach out better to the community, to let them know what's going on in the city and that there really is so much to celebrate in Chino Hills and Chino Valley. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stephanie Wade, followed by Kathy Osman, followed by Elena Licaro.
Good evening, President Na, board members. Again, my name is Stephanie Wade, and I'm here to introduce myself this evening to yourselves and as well as the public. I work for Congressman Gil Cisneros. As I'm sure the board knows, but perhaps the public doesn't, the congressman represents the 39th Congressional District, and Chino Hills is a terribly significant part of that district. The congressman is also an extremely passionate proponent of good quality public education and wants to be a friend to this school district and to this board, and that's one of the most important reason that I'm here this evening. And in particular, I did want to mention a couple of areas of collaboration in our accessibility. I know Mayor Moran just spoke, and she's going to visit the office, but I want to say that's not only open to mayors and board members, but any member of the public that's visiting in DC or would like to meet with a congressman on any issue, we're very available. The congressman is particularly happy when he gets residents from his home district that visit in DC. And so, you know, opportunities to do that are certainly available via our website, but I'm happy to share my card with anybody who'd like to meet with a congressman or anyone else in our office. And I also wanted to say that we're very accessible locally. While we have a main office in Fullerton, we keep an office Tuesday through Fridays in Diamond Bar that we just opened. Board member Mr. Schaefer was just attended that opening last week, and as the main rep that spends time up here in Chino Hills, I also work primarily out of and run that Diamond Bar office. And then the other area I just wanted to discuss is our Service Academy night. I'd wanted to be here to make the announcement myself before we did the Service Academy night last night at in Hacienda Heights at Wilson High School. But I did make sure that all your high schools that are part of our district, all the guidance counselors got copies of the Service Academy flyer. It seemed to have worked. We did have, I counted 9 students that attended, who are Chino Hills residents who attended last night. But I did want to say we have a second night. I brought flyers. If there's anybody here, I'll be in the ante room if they'd like a flyer. The second night will be Wednesday the 18th. And those are for any student interested in the congressman's nomination or just in gathering information about applying to West Point, Annapolis, or the Naval Academy at Annapolis, the Air Force Academy, the Merchant Marine Academy. And would be happy to speak to them. I'm a former Marine Corps officer myself, and so I handle a lot of the Service Academy applications. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Kathy Osman, followed by Elena Licaro.
Good evening. I want to talk about technology. It's going to change the world, we were told. Schools should promote it. Get as many computers as possible. Teach with it as much as you can, because that's where the students can best learn now. And, well, probably get as many computers as you can into all the schools and have all the kids have them. That's how they can best learn. Well, it maybe is getting a little bit overboard. Maybe we're going a little bit too far in that direction. People are starting to talk about keeping it in balance and maybe putting the brakes on a bit. But every time we talk about that, people say, good luck with that. I mean, they're here to stay, just live with it. But maybe there are a few things we could do. And maybe we should work on this, because we found that there are signs that students' brains are changing because of too much use of technology, that the frontal cortex is thinning, and that's the part that gives you perception, which is what students need to do, is perceive their world and learn from it. And I want to offer you a new problem that I came upon as I was thinking about Odyssey of the Mind. It's that time of year. And one of the benefits of computers is that you don't have to memorize everything. I mean, you know, you can go and find it, so you don't have to memorize these things. Maybe scientists won't memorize the periodic table. Maybe they won't memorize all the qualities of certain materials that they work with. And now a new problem comes up, and certainly we're faced with new problems these days. But now they don't have enough in their brain to think with, to think of new solutions. How do you know where to go on your computer until you've thought of a possible solution that might work? So I think there is reasons to put the brakes on technology. Okay, so is there anything we can do? Well, the American Pediatric Society said, don't have any screens before age 2 because kids need to learn language from a human face. So they learn emotion and nuance and truth. And now that we're saying maybe they should also learn language from a classroom that doesn't have computers, learn how to read loving books before they do computers. So maybe we shouldn't have the new smart boards in the kindergarten, first and second grade rooms because they're there mostly to engage kids. You can teach the same things without them, but we're glorifying computers, and maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should do books first. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elena Lacaro, followed by Sharon Duran.
Good evening. I'm here today because all the time I've been here, it hasn't been because of my children. It hasn't been because of my needs. I've always been here because I've exhausted all other alternatives. I've always come here because I thought this is the only chance I have. And tonight, I'm going to be speaking on behalf of children who might have no voice unless I have come today. Parents who might not speak because they might not know the language or they are intimidated. At the start of the school year, I saw a beautiful, wonderful video. It was Welcome Back to School on the bus. And Mr. Anfield, I didn't know you could dance that way. But the bus video was really, it made me, my daughters and everyone, we were just having a great time looking at it. But at the same time, it was a bittersweet experience. And let me tell you why. A group of 80 families has been impacted at Rhodes Elementary School because of the removal of transportation. This group of students were using a bus from the Ivy Apartments, which was a designated location for low-income families. These students now do not have this transportation. And let me tell you who these students are. Students range from first grade to sixth grade. They walk about 45 minutes from there to Rhodes. And then many times, how many of you would walk in 104 degrees like we did today? That amount of time, first graders, kindergarten, sometimes the first graders can't even make it on there. And I've seen them. You have some of my PowerPoints there. Also, I know I've been told, well, leave it alone because it's policy. It has to be 3 miles. Leave it alone. It's policy. Well, I need you to tell you, and I'm coming to you, to look at policy because policy does not talk about lives. And these kids are meant for you to take in consideration. They come from low income, and let me tell you how, let me break it down for you. Before I came here, I actually did my research. I went to these residential apartments, which is, again, I'm talking about these students who are about this location. The average family, 5-member family, have to have an income of less than $36,000 for 5 members. And you tell me, these students who also qualify for free lunch, when they were coming in the bus, they were able to get there for free lunch. Not anymore. These students now are waiting outside after school in the park to get picked up. And so I am going to ask you, if you could ignore the Chino Hills Music Program policies, that they broke policies with all these policies here, I think you should go back and revisit the policy that will allow these children who come from this population an opportunity to come to school every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharon Duran. Sharon Duran.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent. My name is Sharon Duran. I am here this evening to discuss what happened at the previous meeting. My veteran public speaker, Frankie, was so upset hearing so many adults speaking about how homosexuality is a lifestyle and not a right. When my son told me at the end of last school year that he was confused about his sexuality, I panicked like any parent because I know now the statistics for suicide and for everything now, he falls into certain categories. And right away I said, I need to get him into counseling. He needs to figure this out for himself. I can't fix him, as somebody referred to it. And so I took him to a couple counselors. They said he's not suicidal, he has a good support system. But that night, as I held him, he's 6 inches taller than me, like a toddler, I finally found the words to tell him, I need you to go to counseling because I know a time will come, we're gonna hit a wall, and I'm not gonna understand where you're coming from. I don't get what's going on in your world all the time. I said, so I want you to know that there's always someone there to listen to you and to understand you. And in that moment, he accepted the counseling and said, yes, I want to go to counseling. So this is something that is a great concern because I know there's many students out there that are confused, or like he says, I know what I am. He's very proud of himself. And fortunately, he received a lot of support from admin, staff at the school. We ran into Dr. Enfield last week too at Chino High. So everyone's been asking for him. I'm currently trying to get him into groups with his peers too that have struggled through things or that can kind of help him out. I know there's a lot of students that may not have a parent like me, like his previous administrator told me, you're the perfect parent for this. That puts a lot of pressure though. But, you know, all I can do is be supportive to my students like I've always been. And unfortunately, there is some students that may never come out to their own parents. And it's for some of the adults that were here. And that's what I told them that night. I said, do you think the students of the parents that were speaking like that would ever be able to open up to their parents? He's like, probably not. I said, I don't think so either. I said, so let's keep that in mind. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Brian Gallet.
Appreciate the board's time. Mr. Na, I appreciate you being at the football game Friday night. It's good to see a high visibility of the board, interacting with the community, interacting with each school. I told you a month and a half ago that we try to make a visible presence at the meeting, so we have a transparency available to the board. The first issue is with baseball. The expectation was for us to have an application in, having baseball for Chino Hills High readmitted into the general boosters. Unfortunately, the two key members on our team, on our board, that handle that paperwork had personal tragedies in the case of a fire within her family, not her direct home, and the other one has a child going to West Point. So they've been out of town, they've been preoccupied, so that application will be submitted to Dr. B on Tuesday, hopefully Wednesday at the latest, at which point you'll get it for the next agenda for the next meeting. Following up with baseball, baseball's been working famously. General Booster's done everything to support that program, to reimburse the coach. He's done everything from dug up the field to working in the turf to getting quintessentials like bags, bases, balls, and bats, believe it or not. A lot of that property walked out for whatever reason it was on loan. We've been instrumental in helping them achieve that. We've had a death on our campus. We did what we could to help support that family, knowing they had to take time off. Just continue to support that family. Talk got hit on a bicycle. We also helped support that family. We ran bake sales that earned about $300 on the side. We also supplemented that to help the parents that obviously had to take time off to care for their child. They both couldn't be at work. Back to baseball, we are in progress of working on their 501(c)(3)C. I do have an asset in the music program that is the music treasurer. We've made friends while making props for music, and he is a CPA for a nonprofit accounting firm. That's his specialty. He explained to me, because it's under $50K a year, that it should be a short 4-page form, and if they extend past $50,000 when they get their own nonprofit tax ID, that it's just a addition onto the existing paper, but the tax ID would remain firm. The idea is to use baseball as a pilot program for every organization that feels it would be in their best interest to get their own tax ID. And we'll start with the ones underneath 50,000, as it seems to be the quickest route to full autonomy and complete independence. The question was raised, what would happen to general boosters by our clubs? And we said we still handle the bingo and we still distribute a fair amount of capital throughout the school. The other thing I'd like to comment on is thank you so much for sending Dr. B to our campus. He promised to make education fun again. He started day one. He's a huge supporter of our program, and it's been a real blessing to have him on our campus. We did talk about the stipends, Mr. Schaefer. We are creating safeguards in place. I'm looking at a 5-year, no more than 10% incremental raise to be voted on not by the booster board themselves, but by the supporting boards. And I can email that to you if you need it. Thank you.
Okay. We're now at changes and deletions. Pat, are there any changes or deletions?
None.
None. Then we have only one action item tonight. Pat, please announce the item.
Item 2A1, 2018-2019, unaudited actuals financial report.
Recommend the Board of Education approve the 2018/2019 unaudited actuals financial report and authorize the superintendent or his designee to sign the 2018/2019 district certification of unaudited actual financial report. Are there any speakers?
None.
None. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Blair, seconded by Mrs. Gagne. Any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Preferential vote?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. That concludes item on action. We're moving into consent. We're now at consent. Pat, are there any speakers on consent
None.
items? Seeing none? Board members, do we have any polls? Mr. Cruz?
No polls.
No polls. Mrs. Blair?
No polls.
Mrs. Gagne?
No polls.
Mr. Schaefer?
None.
And I have none. For the consent items, may I have a motion then?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Blair,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Gagne. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Preferential vote?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Information items. Any questions on information items? Seeing none. Communications. We're now at board members and superintendent comments. Mr. Schaefer.
I'd like to start off by thanking all the members of the community that have reached out over the last week or so, that have contacted me in support of the vote we took on our sexual education. It's nice to know that there are some members in our community that took the time to actually find out what's in the curriculum and make an educated decision on their own. And so I appreciate them reaching out and affirming the fact that we did pass probably the most conservative sex ed program that we could. So once again, thanks to those in the community that have expressed their appreciation on the matter. I'd also like to thank Dr. Enfield, cabinet, and staff. At the beginning of every school year, there's bound to be some issues, some road bumps and hiccups, but Dr. Enfield and staff have done their best and have done a great job in addressing those issues in a timely manner so that the educational opportunities of our students aren't delayed. And so, Dr. Enfield, thank you. I'm very happy to hear that we have a tentative agreement with our teachers, ACT, so thank you very much. Let's move quickly now to get it ratified and get it in place. For the students from the Ayala Purple Hydrangea Project, Dr. Enfield, can we have somebody from staff contact them, kind of help them through the process of potentially getting approved and see what the feasibility of a project like that is within our district policies?
Yeah, it's already in my notes.
Thank you. On August 24th, I attended the ribbon cutting for Congressman Cisneros' new office over in Diamond Bar. Like Ms. Wade said, the congressman is very accessible. He's been an asset to this board, and I appreciate his staff's time. They always have time to meet with us or meet with me and answer any questions that I might have, and I appreciate that. Also on August 24th, I attended Battle of the Bone football game between Ayala and Chino Hills High School. I will say, going into halftime, it was a little bored. There was no scores. I mean, it was nothing. It was a great defensive game. I'm glad to say at halftime, both of the teams made some great adjustments and came out, and it was an offensive second half with Ayala scoring the winning touchdown and two-point conversion at the very end within like the last second to win. So congratulations, but congratulations to both teams for a great game. It was great to watch. Also, on August 26th, I was invited by Mayor Moran to attend a leadership conference at the Chino Chaffee Community Center. It was sponsored by the owner-operators of the Inland Empire Chick-fil-A owners. It was a great conference. The speaker, Mr. Mark Miller, did a fantastic job. He's an author and speaker on leadership skills, and this kind of focused on what it means to be a highly productive organization. And so there were some great tips that he passed on, and I really enjoyed it, so thank you, Mayor. And I've been in touch with Mr. Dennison, Mr. David Dennison, who's the owner of the Chick-fil-A in Chino Hills, and he and I are going to meet. Hopefully, we can get something similar to this for our ASB and leadership students from our high schools. I think it would be a great benefit for them. And then on August 27th, I was honored to attend the Ramona Junior High AVID signing party. They did a great job of getting the parents and the students excited about the AVID program and the AVID commitment. For those that don't know, AVID was kind of designed to help first generation or students going to college where they don't have family members that have attended college before. Through the program, they're able to go and visit colleges. They do 2 to 3 college visits during the school year, and they're also shown how to fill out applications and seek out grants and scholarships. And so it's a great tool for our students, and I'm glad that our district participates in the AVID program. Committee reports, Boldly View ROP. We haven't met since our last meeting, so I don't have a full report, but I will put out that on October 19th, 10 a.m. at the Career Training Center at 1501 South Bonneview Avenue in Ontario, will be the ribbon cutting and open house. The ribbon cutting will be for the new logistics training facility, and those classes will be coming online very quick. For those that don't know, logistics jobs in the Inland Empire, there's a huge demand for them. And this training center is going to help our students and some adult students get the necessary training to qualify for those jobs. And Chino Hills Parks and Recreation Commission, the much anticipated new Los Serranos Park, which is adjacent to Chaparral Elementary, is complete. However, it is not open to the public yet. It's in its 90-day break-in period, where the city has the opportunity to make sure that all the facilities are working, plumbing, electrical, everything is working before we sign over and before the city signs over and takes possession of it. For those that don't know, the district was instrumental in helping partnership with the city. We actually own, as a district, we own the actual physical property that's adjacent to Chaparral and entered into agreement with the city to build the park. The ribbon cutting for that is scheduled for November 16th at 10 a.m. And with that, I will conclude my comments. Thanks and have a great evening.
Mrs. Gagne.
Good evening. I'd first like to thank the students that came from Ayala High School. I believe it was Madeline, Alyssa, and Pauline. I think I forgot one of your names, but thank you for coming. I think what you're doing is wonderful, and I know you're probably so busy with school, but that you're taking the time to work on this project. I'd love to learn more, so I'd love to chat after the meeting. And I think this was apropos because we are moving into National Suicide Prevention Week. I've shared some resources on my Facebook page and my website, but these resources, these types of programs are desperately needed, so I want to applaud you for working on this and helping your fellow students. I'd also like to thank Mayor Moran for coming this evening. Thank you for coming, and please let us know how we can participate in the community fair. Definitely want to be there, and I'm also a Chino Hills resident, so please let me know. I'd also like to thank Ms. Wade from Congressman Cisneros' office for coming this evening. I was able to meet with Martin Mandrano on your team several weeks ago, and I'm certainly looking for ways to collaborate with the congressman on quality public education. I also want to thank the parents that came tonight. I know you're busy, and coming here and taking your time or sending us emails or calling us takes time out from your busy schedules and your children. So I just want all of you to know I appreciate you coming this evening and sharing your concerns. A couple announcements from the Chamber of Commerce. I serve as a representative to the Chamber of Commerce for the school board. We now have a student membership. This is brand new, effective July 1st, so it's a severely discounted rate for students who want to come to Chamber events and be a part of the Chamber. It's a great way to pursue internships or learn about entrepreneurship, so please share broadly. And the Chamber's also having its annual Business Expo at the shops at Chino Hills on October 19th, so I encourage everyone to attend. Finally, I'm having community coffees. I posted on my Facebook page. My first one, I believe, is September 21st. I'll be providing more information about location imminently, just getting some last-minute details together. But I'm having community coffees in September, October, and December. It's just a way for me to jump over the dais and talk to people in a more informal environment so we can have conversations about our schools. And finally, I do want to make some comments about the last meeting. And I make these comments because I not only had other elected officials, community members, staff members, and others contact me. I had students contact me. People watch our meetings. Shocker, it's on the internet. And if we do not comport ourselves in a civil manner up here and with one another, students notice that. And they're looking to us as elected officials, they're looking to us as stewards of the district. When we're not respectful, when we don't treat everyone with dignity, regardless of our political views or views on any sort of matters we're discussing, they notice that. And they notice that more than anything. So I do want to encourage that when we have meetings in here, that we conduct them in an orderly fashion, that we respect one another, and that we comport with board policy, because we're here to make policy, but we're also here to set an example. And if we're not setting an appropriate example, I really don't know why we're here. So I felt compelled to say that because I had students also reach out to me, and I think it's very discouraging that they now have a negative perception of how this board operates when we have contentious issues. Thank you.
Mr. Cruz?
Thank you, Mr. Nah. For ASL, the students are very highly motivated. You know, I would recommend a special meeting that Mr. Cargile has mentioned. I think it would be really healthy for the community coming together, and it would, I think it would be very positive and supportive when it comes to the ASL, which is a fantastic program that's been going on for years. Madeline, I strongly support your the assemblies, so I also agree with Joe. And Kathy, I do agree with you with technology, especially for kindergartners. We have to tread lightly when it comes to technology. That's definitely correct, Kathy. And as for the buses, yeah, I want to know why that the students are no longer using the buses, the 85 students, and knowing that, yeah, they are walking, or most likely they're having a difficult time of transportation. So I'm glad that you brought it up. So thank you. I attended a Ramona. The orientation for AVID. AVID is a great program. 98% of those students go to college. So it's fantastic. The parents were there, and it was great. And finally, the football game. You know, observing the people, observing the game. You know, you see the past, present, and the future. Everybody in one big pot, and it's real exciting to observe all that senses, you could call it. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Blair.
I'm sure Dr. Enfield already has in his notes, and he's going to provide us an update on roads transportation. But I do want to share that a couple of years ago, when transportation was of concern because we did some redistricting or reshuffling of students at some of the school sites, I did take it upon myself to walk from Anna Borba to Dixon Elementary School to ensure that it was within the range of the policy. So you're not alone when you advocate for the needs of the students. This is the first time I am aware that we removed transportation, but I'm sure we're going to receive an update and I will follow up. But even when it's within the range, which is something I brought up at that time, I just felt that it was unsafe. Our students were traveling from here, Riverside, which is a really busy street. Part of the area to Dixon has no sidewalk on one side of the street. And so I brought all those items up, and but there's policies, but one voice cannot change a policy. Hopefully, now we can reconsider that and bring that forth, that maybe we need to change the miles that students are required to walk before we provide transportation. So I do appreciate the fact that you brought that forward, but we hadn't heard about this situation at all, so thank you. Regarding ASL at Ayala High School, it is something that we are discussing and we're following up. I met with a group of parents regarding the course. Dr. Enfield is fully involved in remedying the situation. Sometimes there are things that are beyond his control. We're waiting for responses from other entities. There are things that are happening and it just takes time. So it's not that it's gone on deaf ears, but there really isn't anything to provide at this time. But he is working very aggressively on the concerns that have been raised by the parents at Ayala High School. One thing I do want to share is that someone stated that they want the same caliber of teacher that was there before. That's difficult to do. You can't replace someone who is experienced in an area and expect that someone new is going to have that same background. It takes time to develop yourself as an educator, to kind of get a feel of the classroom, to get a feel for the program. That doesn't mean that they won't one day be as great as that retired teacher. We should all be afforded an opportunity and an understanding that we have a learning curve. Just like when we all start up here. We fumble, we don't know, we don't sound like the prior board member that we replaced. There are those that will like us, those that will dislike us. That's just how it goes. And so I just hope that everyone will understand that we need to give the new teacher an opportunity. Of course, if there are concerns that need to be addressed by the district, they will be addressed by the district. But will we have the same caliber in a new teacher that we did with a very experienced teacher? Not likely. But that doesn't mean that she won't get there one day. So I just hope you'll understand that. I do want to also touch on the last board meeting and the comments from members of the public and the response by some board members. There are many times where I sit here and I disagree with what is being said from the public microphone. There are times where I sit here and I agree with what is being said at the microphone. At no time do I sit here applauding comments that are made, not because I don't want to provide kudos or support to what is being said, but that's not our role. I had to answer to students who asked why a couple of our board members were applauding when there were attacks made on fellow students who are LGBTQ. I can't answer that. I encouraged them to reach out to the two that were applauding. They said, I don't want to because I already know how they feel about me. There are governance standards from the California School Board Association that clearly state that we are here to represent every student, not a partial segment of our student population. Regardless of our personal beliefs, we are to represent quality public education for every student. And I was alarmed by the way some individuals in the audience were looking at the speaker from Congressman Cisneros' office. And I wanted to pick up my phone and take pictures of those eyes that were glaring at this individual because I knew what they were thinking. It is evident. I don't know what the eyes were from those individuals on this dais, but I could see the eyes from the members of the audience. And it's sad, and it's unfortunate, but I will not remain silent. I am here to represent every student, and I will do that until November 2020. You don't have to threaten me about not voting for me or not re-electing me. That's okay, I am done. I want to enjoy. My son will be in his senior year in this district, and I want to enjoy that. But that doesn't mean I won't ever appear at that mic, holding the individuals up here accountable for representing every student. Thank you.
Thank you.
No comments tonight.
My comment. I'd like to thank Ayala students. I have seen you probably guys at today's Club Rush. There were so many clubs presented, and it was really nice. And matter of fact, many were signing up for all these clubs. I would say hundreds. So you guys have done a great job. I do support our students and your endeavor and your vision for the future. And it is very critical that we need to promote goodness. And that's going to help us with our students who are going to be our future adults. It's funny. We tell children after disagreements or fight, go make it up. Oh, come on, you can do that. It might take a couple weeks, but you guys do. But when the adults going to clash, I've seen adults who have not spoken for a whole year for one disagreement. So for that sense, I think I might value you guys more than ourselves, the adults. So good job. Thank you for coming. And looking at you guys and also visiting our students at Ayala High School, I'm also proud of our Mike Krieger and Cynthia Moran. Not only they hold positions, but they're also parents. And I remember talking to your daughter, Mr. Krieger, was at a Christmas parade. It was so impressive. And Cynthia's son, who's going to be our future leader for sure. Just good people, and we're making a good products. We have parents about the sign language here, and you guys are all here because you care. You care. Our principals, everything, and even all the speakers, they were so candid about they're struggling with their kids. So we all know that. There's no division. If you want to see it as a division, if you want to see the glass of milk as a half full, you will always see it half full. But the truth will stand. Now, talking about our children, let's go to younger ones, as our lady speaker said about kids walking 45 minutes. I drive a car, and many of the seniors, high schoolers, you have cars. As an adult, we have to see what we can do to help those 80 kids. Yes, we could say, yeah, that's their parents' responsibilities firsthand. But if their needs are not met, and we got both arms and both legs, and we're over 18 years old, then we need to look into helping them. It's just a right thing to do. You don't ask questions, their IDs, you don't ask their races, anything. The kids are kids, people are people. That's what makes this country strong. Now, having said that, Mrs. Osman, you've been correct. People might say, even in the past, they know I'm crazy, but they sometimes say you're not always riding the pathway with everyone else. But guess what? You were number one, and you still are number one gate teacher. I know that. So when you say something like that, that's out of box. You know, we're only thinking about more technology and more memory chips and self-driving cars. Maybe we're missing something. And what you have read, the study might be the truth. Especially our youth, 2 years old, 5-year-old kids and kindergartners. I see them always on their iPhones. The parents, If they want to quiet them down, what they do? They give them iPhones. So instead of learning respect and then learning the responsibilities and relationship with another human being, it's being absent. So I think absolutely I agree with you about our little ones that needs more human contact and human education. There could be cars driving self-driving or trucks self-driving. And they said we might not have need for truck drivers anymore in near future. They're already doing a mapping. But guess what? Our teachers, we need human contact with our children. So I'd like to support your idea, and I'd like to have Dr. Enfield really think about that too, about our kindergartners and primary grades. See if we can provide more opportunity for them to have a human contact teaching. Okay. Let's see. Going to BRICS, I'm so happy about the tentative agreement with the teachers. We have the best teachers, and we deserve the best contract for them. And I also agree with BRICS teachers where they spend hours doing those extra work. And if there's any way that we could help, I'd like to see our staffs thinking and talking with them, maybe with ACT president. Appreciate that. And yes, Ramona Junior High School, AVID. The one good thing about AVID program that I have attended with Mr. Schaefer and Mr. Cruz, it was about kids standing up and signing a contract, actually, to be successful and stay positive. And after that, the admin had their parents sign the contract, making sure that they're in fully support of their children's education. Education starts at home. As I have talked to our great parents, Audrey's parents, Alex's parents. Yeah, it doesn't lie. So let's do that. Last, I'd like to thank Mr. Rich Rideout. You've done a great job. You got hands full with sign language program and all that. I know you were losing sleep over that right now. But thank you, appreciate you. And you're also parents, so I'm sure you understand what our parents are going through at the ASL program. I want to have it remained the top notch as it has been. So with that, I conclude the meeting at 7:17. Thank you all for coming.